Alright, so today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the history of this whole... So anyway, we're going to do something a little different. So, let's start off by saying right where I am. I'm right now on near East 55th and Broadway, right behind me. East 55th and Broadway. Right behind me is Slavic Village Development, just for reference. They do play a part in this story, but I just want to make sure that you guys have an idea where I am. Also, shout out to your place, yours, mine, and ours. We're over here. Great little bar. You should check it out. But anyway, so I'm over here on East 55th and Broadway because this kind of starts this whole thing. So what I'm about to show you is these buildings around here, and I'm going to show you a couple other things that kind of play into this whole story. So to start off, in 2017, Slavic Village Development behind me sold Ryan Florio, who owns Inca Tea, which is primarily a West Side business, a bunch of buildings that were supposed to be developed into some kind of, I don't know if there was any actual plans per se. There were talk of some things, but he was basically sold about 6 different parcels here on East 55th and Broadway. It was about $170,000. Also, the Area Savings and Loan, which we'll show you a little bit later in the video, as we're passing through. So what I'm going to show you right now is show you the conditions of these properties as you can see today, so you can get an idea of how much work and how much stuff has gotten on since 2017. So the main thing for you guys to know is that, I mean, yeah, there's some elements that probably have happened since then. I mean, obviously it's hard to get loans. Obviously, COVID played a part in it. But the fact of the matter is these properties are in a horrible, horrible condition, and not much seems to be going on. Now, across the street there, these properties right here, a year ago, we sat in on a meeting not too far from here, right down the street, down in a... forget what's the museum that they're calling it now, but anyway, let's digress. We sat in on a meeting where we were told that all this was going to be developed into a, I guess into like a mixed-use building, apartments slash other things. Now, it's a year later, and not much has changed over there. In fact, it's getting worse, which I'm about to show you. So without any further ado, let's go through and I can kind of show you what's going on. Okay, so right now, as I mentioned, we're starting off at 3370 East 55th right here. So we have, this was the old Broadway chiropractic clinic. It was a clinic, you know, when I was a kid. I believe this was an ice cream shop or some kind of thing. As you can see inside, it is pretty grody. The floors, you can actually see through the window. Again, this is one of the ironies of this whole project, is they actually used this for a project called Rooms to Let, which was, you know, doing this whole art project over here. And you got these Band-Aid guys, which I see all over Cleveland, so it might be a Cleveland artist that did this, or it might be a national artist. I don't really know, but the irony of these Band-Aid guys on this corner, as you will see, is just not lost at all. As you can see, they decorated it a little bit. You can kind of see sort of what's going on in here. I don't know if you can see that. As you go down these storefronts, though, they just seem to get worse and worse condition wise. Not much. As you can see, this is particle board right here with the painting. You actually see it's starting to degrade a little bit. You have these windows covered up. I love this art piece though. This one's a good one. But here it's a good look at what's going on inside here. You can actually kind of see there's all kinds of grodiness happening. The ceiling's collapsing. So the artwork is great. It makes it look a little less grody, but you can see where whole ceiling sections are falling in. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see where whole ceiling sections are caving in. This particular corner, this is another part of the purchase that they made. As you can see, there's just a lot of utter grossness. You can see some of the stuff going on. I don't know if you can see all that. Hard to say with the reflections what you guys are actually seeing or not. But let's just say they're not, I don't know if they're in renovatable condition. I just don't know. It's going to take a lot of money to make this happen. Now, we're not going to worry about any of the things beyond. So let's basically the property line ends about right here, right where this block is. Here's another one of those Band-Aid people. We're not going to worry about all the storefronts going down right now. We're not going to worry about that. But what we are going to do is I'm going to take you across the street as I brave myself across Broadway here. As you can see from this point, this is what it looks like from across the street. This whole corner. So this whole corner was part of that purchase in 2017, just for reference. Okay. As you can see right here, I remember when they had room select going on, this section right here, we actually had to sign a waiver to get into. And this is also part of that mass purchase as I was describing. So we continue to walk down Broadway here. Somebody's actually taking the bus. There's a bus stop like right here. I want to reference that real quick. As we come over here, you can see this was a Chinese food place at one point. It's barely being held together by plexiglass. Check this out. So again, Band-Aid person, not really doing much good. You can actually walk right inside the storefront if you wanted to. Not that you would want to. You can see the ceiling. Everything's in really bad shape. This is actually just disgustingly bad. But yeah, you can walk into the entire storefront if you wanted to. If you come down further, this door is open again. Band-Aid person, not doing much good for the door. As you can see, this door is open. You can literally just pull that open. And then as you can see, the faces, so many faces that I know and love. So this looks, you think on the outside, this looks pretty secure. You're like, oh, no big deal. So I got asked some questions if the bar was still intact, but as you can see, you can open up the board. I'm pretty sure that door's open, and there's a hole right there that you can get into something. I'm not walking in there now, but let's just say this whole section is dangerous. That board is easily opened. That needs to be dealt with. So this is what's going on over here, and yet the property owner, which is East West LLC, owned by Ryan Florio, refuses to maintain these properties or these buildings as he owns them, to keep somebody from getting injured or possibly dying while they're inside of them. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that he's not being held accountable for these properties. So the owner of Inca Tea, Ryan Florio, that he's not being held accountable for any of these properties. But let me show you more. And this is the view from over here where you can see all the properties. There you go. So here we are at the other part of that mass purchase I was talking about. This is Erie Savings and Loan right across the street from Fire Station 11 right here. Right across the street, which is ironic because this place is a fire trap. It was actually the Cleveland Liberty Bank back in the day. A lot of the settlers that end up working the steel mills banked here. I mean, they actually literally had a garage that actually had all their stuff that they would hold in collateral. But this was actually part of that purchase that I was mentioning, that whole $170,000 purchase that was just kind of thrown into it. Jacqueline's, which is also now abandoned and vacant, was not part of that. It's actually still owned by the family that has always owned it, although it is a mess. We'll get to that at some point. But so the Cleveland Liberty Bank, it's literally one of the oldest banks, or at least one of the oldest banks in Cleveland. It's a historic building. It should be saved, but unfortunately I don't see that there's any way that's going to happen just based on the condition of it. But this was actually part of the $170,000 purchase, although I don't know if he had any actual plans for it. I think it was just seemingly just kind of thrown into it like, hey, can you take this place too? There's no plans for it, but we've had repeated issues with the property. That window over there was literally busted out completely, and the side of the building is consistently busted into, and they just kind of come by, put another hasp and a padlock on it, and then hope that works. And that's just, it's not working for the long term, obviously. Okay, so as we walk up the doors, you can see the hasp, which is a padlock with a security code on it, has been busted open again. As far as I can tell you, I am the only security this place has. I'm the only one that checks it periodically, but as you can see, you can easily walk inside, no problem. And this place, let me tell you, is a complete death trap. I can't even emphasize enough. So I've already put in an email to have this thing resecured. Hopefully they can get a hold of the property owner and have it done, but this place is definitely a death trap and nobody should be going inside of it. But property owner doesn't care. Nope, doesn't care one bit. Doesn't care if somebody dies, doesn't care if somebody sets it on fire. Oh, and I mentioned, this particular block, if you go down the way, all the way to Green's Hardware, that was set ablaze. The building next to it, there's a garden place that was set on fire a few weeks ago. So, I mean, obviously this is a place where things happen, especially buildings getting torched. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's much prevention of trying to keep this thing from going up as well. So, just calling it now. But anyway, let's show you guys the rest of it. We'll go to Inca Tea, and then we'll end this little journey. So we end today's little lesson today in front of Inca Tea, where it's across the street here. This is probably one of the most well maintained of the buildings that were... This wasn't part of the mass purchase overall, but it was sold to Inca Tea to be their world headquarters. It is not their world headquarters. I believe they're using it for storage, and I believe the upstairs there's an art space. It caught on fire a couple times, which obviously delayed things. It's probably the most well maintained of any of the properties. The bottom line is he's not running his world headquarters out of here. He's just using it for storage, and while it might be supporting an art gallery, that wasn't the original, maybe not the original intention of it, but anyway, the other buildings are obviously far worse. But let me just digress from there. So I understand that it takes a while to get things done, and I understand this, the movement of financing, and then the movement of getting permits, all that stuff takes a while. My only question and my concern that I'm relaying to you guys, if anybody cares, is why is it taking so long? And why are the properties not being maintained while they're awaiting any type of renovation or any type of work? They're just being left to rot so people can get inside of them, can easily pull somebody inside of one of these buildings and do something. The buildings themselves are dangerous and they need to be dealt with, and they're not being dealt with. So I get all the stuff about them taking a while, and it takes a while to get things done. I get that. I work in the industry. However, what's not being done is they're not being secured and they're not being very well maintained. And that's an issue. And that's the main issue I want to convey to you guys today, and why East West LLC, owned by Ryan Florio, is dropping the ball considerably on this neighborhood. So, peace.